Welcome back to the Michael Cohen Show on our continued journey to 250,000 subscribers. So now is not the time to unsubscribe. Now is the time to subscribe and share with a friend because there's a ton of shit happening. So I want to talk about oil and energy in the United States, especially oil and energy under the upcoming new Trump administration. Now, first, I want you to take a look at an article that was put out about Trump's oil and gas donors, the big mega donors from the Wall Street Journal. Trump's oil and gas donors don't really want to drill, baby, drill. Fossil fuel tycoons helped return the president-elect to Washington. Now they are seeking to lock in use of their products for years to come. It goes on to say that Donald Trump wants oil companies to drill, baby, drill on the first day of his presidency. But his fossil fuel benefactors have a different agenda. Many of the tycoons who back the Republicans' victorious campaign say what they need help with is shoring up demand for their products, not pumping more fossil fuels, which they have little incentive to do. This goes right to the issue, by the way, my friends, of supply and demand. And we're going to get into that in a moment. They're pushing for policies that would lock in fossil fuel use, such as easier permitting for pipelines and terminals to shuttle fossil fuels to new markets. They also favor eliminating Biden administrated policies meant to put more electric vehicles on the road. Hello, Elon Musk. Right? And under President Biden, shale companies, that was fracking, produced record amounts of oil and natural gas as crude prices rebounded from the pandemic's depths and then soared after Russia's invasion of Ukraine. But the industry is also confronting the early stages of a long-term shift away from fossil fuels, as well as concerns that gasoline consumption has peaked in the United States. Keep going. Because here's what one guy, Brian Sheffield, a Texas oilman who contributed more than $1 million to Trump's latest campaign, had to say, and I quote, "Our stocks will be absolutely crushed if we start growing our production the way Trump is talking about it." Get a load of that one. And then there's more. Because here's what else somebody said. And this is Scott Siegel, who's a partner at the lobbying and law firm of Bracewell. He says, in a world where we have undifferentiated tariffs, remember tariffs that cause market retaliation for exported energy commodities, it could become very hard to exert energy dominance. This doesn't just stop and start with fracking or with retaliation based upon tariffs. There is so much here. I want to go back and talk about for a quick second the whole issue of COVID. Why is it under Donald Trump the price of gasoline was, say, $1 less? At least here it was in New York or somewhere in that ballpark. And the reason, it's simple economics. It's supply and demand. The supply was constant. The demand went down. Why? Because people weren't driving. They weren't going out. They weren't going for dinners. They weren't going to work. They were home, scared about COVID. So what happens to the supply? It increases because the usage goes down. Again, supply and demand. So when you have a high supply and a low demand, how do you then make up for it? Lower pricing. Plain and simple. And that's not what these oil men want. They want to increase the cost per barrel. Now, I want to also turn to, for example, Gavin Newsom, because one of the things that we're beginning to see on a regular basis is more and more electric vehicle companies, more and more electric vehicle cars. In fact, every single company now, I think even Ferrari and Rolls-Royce are coming out with electric vehicles. I mean, it's comical to say it, but it's true. They're not going to have, for example, those crazy, incredible engines that you're paying $500,000 for if they're going to be electric vehicles. Every single car company is now putting out an electric vehicle. Why? Because the demand is increasing. Where does that bring me to this conversation? Gavin Newsom turns around, obviously California, and concerned that Donald Trump, who has said that he intends to take away the electric vehicle rebate, which is like $7,500. That's what made Elon Musk the biggest billionaire in this country, believe it or not. $7,500 for every Tesla as a rebate. Let me show you the article. California Governor Gavin Newsom says the state will provide rebates if Trump removes the tax credit for electric vehicles. I find it kind of comical that he would even think about doing that, since Elon Musk has become sort of like the shadow president here. But it goes on to say that Newsom said Monday that the state would be doubling down on our commitment to clean air and green jobs in California to maintain the momentum of EV sales. This goes on to say, Governor Gavin Newsom said the state will provide the rebates to residents if President-elect Donald Trump's incoming administration does away with the federal tax credit for electric vehicles. And again, I believe that's $7,500. In a news release that was issued on Monday, Newsom said he would restart the state's Clean Vehicle Rebate Program, which provided financial incentives on more than 590,000 vehicles before it was phased out last 2023. Last part. Here's the quote. We will intervene if the Trump administration eliminates the federal tax credit, doubling down on our commitment to clean air and green jobs in California, Newsom said. We're not turning back on a clean transportation future. We're going to make it more affordable for people to drive vehicles that don't pollute. Now, let me go on to say this. Why is it that Gavin Newsom is capable of making this statement? And something you've heard in some of my other Michael Cohen Reacts at the Michael Cohen Show right here. One of the things I talked about was what happens, right, when Donald Trump wants to impose certain restrictions on states that are net positive states as opposed to net negative states. And I'm going to go and I'm going to explain it one last time. Net positive states like California are states that pay more to the federal government than they take, which now hinders federal government's ability within which to ram down the throats of the state that needs their money. You see what I'm saying? So instead of sending money to the federal government, they will then create another program, this clean air program, and claim that they don't have that extra money to send to the federal government. They're going to do what they want to do, and that's, again, to put more electric vehicles on the road so that we have cleaner air to breathe. This is extremely important. It's also why I keep saying that the immigration bill that Donald Trump will put forth on day number one to go and to round up migrants, especially ones that are in California or New York, that he knows exactly where they are, and deport them, the state can interfere. And then this is going to cause all sorts of wars between the two parties, between the state and the federal government. I don't know how it's going to turn out. Trump, of course, will turn around and use force. And then there's going to be all sorts of claims that the federal government overstepped its authority. Federal government will claim that the state is interfering and that we won, talking about winning, winning, winning. This whole thing is going to be an absolute nightmare. And that's why our voices must be unified. It must be one voice for all of us. And that's why I keep saying this is the time to not just subscribe. This is the time to watch and to share with your friends so that you're fully informed what's going on, when it's going on, so that we can actually say something, we can do something, we can have our voices heard and not be stifled. And as always, my friends, thanks for listening. Hey, everyone. First of all, thanks for watching. I mean, we're going to be posting daily episodes with reactions and talking about politics. We'll be talking about everything, in fact. So please like and subscribe. Join us on this journey.